Hello everyone. Mm, Our today's session will be on the Power Apps and Power Pages testing, the QA training, which is the QA training. So here we will cover from the basic to advanced QA techniques. So let's begin with the. So today's agenda is the first. What are the Power Apps and the Power Pages? Then second, types of the Power Platform apps. Third will be the QA responsibilities, testing strategies, layer-wise testing methods, real-time testing processes, sample test cases and templates, QA tools and checklist, and common defect and best practices. And last one related to SOP onboarding plan. So let's start with the introduction to the Power Pages and Power Apps. The first I will explain you about what is the Power Apps. The Power App is a low-code platform by the Microsoft that lets user build a custom apps for the business needs. App can be Canvas app, model-driven apps, or the portals known as the Power Apps, or known as the Power Pages. And what is the Power Pages? The Power Pages, formerly the Power Apps portal, is a secure, low-code SaaS platform for creating external-facing websites integrated with the Dataverse. Uh, the Power Platform architectures. The what actually it will cover? The first, the Dataverse, the central database table required. Then the Power Automate, the automation flow, which will uh, trigger the flow from the backend. Then the connectors, the SharePoint connectors, SQL connector, Outlook, or any other which is required for the Power Apps. Then the web rules and security, the user-based rule. There are a different type of user roles: the user, regular user, the manager level, likewise. And then there are total four environments: the dev environment, QA environment, ABT, and the prod. There is the overall concept of the Power Platform architectures. Next, in the next slide, we will see the step-by-step testing guide, the Canvas for the Canvas app, model-driven app, and the Power Pages. First, let's understand the Canvas app. Understand the app functionality and the screens. The identify the data sources and the business rules. The create test cases for the input validations, navigations on select and the navigation patches, submit form operations, the reset logic, the perform the CRUD operation in the testing, the test formulas, if switch, the lookup, and etc. Then the model driven apps that we can test the entity from the form views and the dashboards, the validate business process flows, the test outbox, and the custom logics. Fourth point will be the check for field security profiles and the business rules. And last one, the perform the regression testing after the changes. In the Power Pages, the validate the page loading, the content, and the responsive. Uh, Test web roles, table permissions, and the access control rules. The test forms and the list of a list component perform into a testing and the portals. Then what is the actual the keyword role in the Power Apps related projects? There are a total of five different roles. The keyway persons will perform the first, the understanding the low code configurations, like the formulas, conditional visibility, and data connectors. Then second role, the check business logics and the user access. The can each role see only what they should. As I already explained about the business rules, means there are different types of roles. First is the admin role, who has the access for entire thing which is related to Power Apps and Power Pages on the dashboard side and the access providing side and everything. Then the normal user person who is actually using that particular Power Page, and second one related, the last third one related to the the managerial level. If there is any approval flow, so according to that, the rules, business logic rules will allocate to the respective users. And here, the most probably as a keyway, uh, we need to ensure that the business rules the firing on the correct conditions. Then third point is the validate integrations. The test flow triggered by the app actions. Example, there is any submit button functionality, so we need to check that once the user submit that particular forms, was that particular user and the next approval person both should get the email notification for it and the correct links to complete the entire process. Then the test data syncs between the database and external sources. The fourth point, which is related to test performance and the mobile responsive, it is nothing but specifically for the Canvas apps and the Power Pages. And last one, the test end-to-end use cases from portal user login to the form submission, database entry, and the flow execution and email sent. Everything we need to check in the Power Apps. Let's discuss in more depth the step by step the QA process. First, the QA person needs to understand the business requirement, the use cases, screens, rules, and flows. Then second point is explore the app screen and note all the controls, buttons, and galleries, etc. Third point, identify the data source. The QA person need to discuss with the developer team to identify the data source. Is there any Dataverse, SharePoint, Excel, and etc. and understand how the data flow works actually. Then the actual QA person part is coming here. Uh, Write functional test cases from the inputs, button, navigation, and filters. The perform UI testing, the screen layout, fonts, buttons, alignment, and responsive. 6 point, which is related to test formulas in the on select visible, on change the batch and submit forms. 7 point, which is related to do rule based testings. Login as a different rules if any implemented. 8 point, the test error handling the submit without required data. And invalid, we can say the invalid inputs. Ninth point, which is related to verify data sent correctly into the backend or not. Means that if any user submitted the respective form on the Power Page, that particular form details should be updated on the in the Dataverse table correctly, or if there is any SharePoint or the Excel file. So according to data source, that detail needs to be updated correctly. 10th point, which is related to the test, the Power Automate flow triggers from the app actions on the basis of the app actions. It's already I was given you that particular respective example. Means the user submit that particular form, then the respective users as well as the approval person should get the email notification with the correct details as well as the app link to complete the entire process. And last one is the execute regression test after the each release and after the each bug fixes. What are the testing strategies we are using? The first, the test planning, define the scopes for the Canvas apps, the model driver apps, and the Power Pages. Because we need to first make sure that what kind of on which applications we are performing the testing. Then second, environment setup, dev environment, QA environment, fraud, and EVT. Then the data strategy. Use the Dataverse test data or the mock APIs to maintain the separate test data sets. Then testing types, the manual API, manual testing, API testing, UI, performance and accessibility, and the integration EVT. Integration as well as the UID testing. Then in the test automation, use the tool like Power Automate, Playwright, or the Selenium, where, which we can use for the test automation. And last one is related to defect defect management. They use like uh, Azure DevOps. We can use the Azure DevOps, Jira, or the built-in Power Automate, the Power Platform ALM tool. In the testing types, what kind of testing type we need to uh, use to perform the Power App testing? First, related to functional testing. It is a core logic from submission patches and workflows. Yeah. For example, we can say submit a connect form, the validate. In that case, we need to, as a tester, we need to validate the entry in the database as well. UI UX testing, the test layout, control behaviors, responsive. Means we need to verify each and every clickable buttons, mobile layout, and checkboxes, and likewise so many things. The role-based testing tests what user with different roles can and can't see or to do. HR users see the full profile, employees see the limited data. This is the example for this one. In the integration testing point of view, test we need what is the integration testing? Is that test the external connector and the power automate flow. For example, the submit form flow triggers the emails entry created into the SharePoint. Likewise, there are three different integrations we can see in that particular example. One is the submit form on the Power App. Flow triggers by using the Power Automate, and entry created in the SharePoint means the SharePoint integrations. Uh, Fifth point is regression testing. We need to recheck the old feature after the new changes and defect fixes. For example, after updating a screen, ensure the previous flow still works correctly. Sixth point is negative testing. We need to test the Power Apps by using the invalid inputs, the missing fields, the broken flows. For example, try submitting without email, check error messages, and everything. And last one is related to performance testing. The test response time, we need to check if there is if the Power App getting loaded for more than 30 or 60 seconds. So in that case, our application entire performance will decrease 10 seconds. Specifically for the portal and the large data list. As a layer wise, what kind of a testing we do? The UI testing, the functional testing, data uh, data testing, integration testing, and the last one is related to security testing. Let's see the one example scenario, the breakdown, the business cases. The company builds the Power Page portal where the job applicant fill a form and the HR get notified. What are the component involved? And this is the Power Page site with the public access form. The form connected to Dataverse table. Then third point related to Power Automate flow to notify HR via email, and security roles, the public users, HR, and admin. Here you can see that here are three different security roles available. So, as a tester, what is our responsibility and how we can define the test scenarios and test cases? So, first we need to validate that the forms opens publicly, means it is accessible to everyone or not. Then the field level validations, example the email, resume upload, and all this. Then third point related to form submissions saves to the data was correctly or not. Fourth point, which is related to, as earlier I was already explaining you, the email notification is received to the HR or not. Check the portal style, check the portal styling and the responsive on the mobile application as well, and ensure an unauthenticated user cannot access the HR fields. This is the last. This is the high level test scenarios. On the basis of this, we can create the multiple test cases. So Test checklist. This is the same what I earlier explained. The page and the form load validation, the responsive layout on the devices, required pre-validations, the flow trigger on the actions, the web rules, and the permission tested, the table permission and the access control related to data at first, and the last one, the performance load time should be less than 3 seconds. Here is the another test scenario. So we can create the registration, admin view, navigation, and the workflow basis. Verify the guest user can submit job application form. Admin can view and approve the submitted application. Charge use can switch between the dashboard tabs and form submission triggers to the Power Automate flow. In the detailed test case, how to return the test cases and what the things we need to mention at the time of preparing the test case design. The first, the test case ID, then the module for which module we are preparing that particular test case, then the test titles, the preconditions, what is the preconditions, the steps, what are the steps we need to execute to perform the to we need to ex- perform to execute that particular test. Then what is the expected result, what is the actual result, then what is the test data, pass fail, and last one related to comment. uh, the common defect, these are the common defect which is rare, commonly observed on the power apps. One is related to UI, the misalignment of the element, unresponsive controls, and the visibility issues. The data binding. Second point is related to data binding. The incorrect drop-down values, unbound fields, incorrect patches, and formulas. Third, related to logic error. The conditional rules not working. Default values might be missing. The auto-populated values not correctly populated. So these are the logical errors. The security, users see pages users see pages they shouldn't. Might be some users have access to the HR data or admin level access. Data leaks via the unprotected APIs. The integration, the flows not triggering might be or missing error handling concept. The portal testing, the form not submitting correctly. The case user restriction failing, rule permissions likewise. How to report the any bug, then what are the things we need to mention at the time of the bug reporting? The first, the bug ID, the model name, then the summary of that particular bug or defect, then step to produce, then expected result, actual result, severity as well as the priority. In the attachment, we can share the screenshot or the video and the status. Then, which is the most important thing, the requirement traceability matrix. Each requirement we need to ensure the test scenarios mapped correctly, and each test scenarios have the test cases which and checklist should be covered. The QA, this is the requirement traceability matrix, and then the QA exit checklist before go live. So as a QA point of view, what are the things we need to ensure at the QA. Then all test case should be executed. So we need to mention that is completed or not, yes or no, and how many test cases you are using. Irrigation test pass or not, EVT sign off, then defect close. This EVT we are not saying that as EVT. The EVT team is differ from the internal testing team, so we can mention as an internal testing team. Then rule-based testing completed, deployment tested in the EVT, and the port or responsive in the mobile. So here we can wrap up our sessions for the Power Apps. Is there any questions that we can go through it? Encourage ownership in detailing testing. Use the realistic data inputs, the track different coverage to maintain collaboration with the dev and the BA. And last thing is Have any questions that let me ask? Sure, please ask me.